We'll make this available after the fact here. So if you have colleagues, classmates, future prospective teammates, and whatnot that can't be on the call today, we're going to get it up onto our YouTube channel, the American Red Cross IHL YouTube channel, so you can catch up on all that. First of all, I'm Thomas Harper. I'm the senior counsel and senior legal advisor in international humanitarian law for the American Red Cross. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight and taking time to learn more about this great competition. You're going to hear the majority of tonight, the vast majority of tonight will be led by two of our outstanding legal interns, our Shelby, our Clara Barton IHL fellow, who is leading our CBC efforts, and then her colleague Ben Crawford, who's one of our IHL legal interns, both of whom are fantastic and have poured a lot of work so far into the competition. I'm joined, you won't see him on the call tonight on camera, but Christian Jorgensen's the other attorney on our team full-time. He's our IHL legal advisor. And then we have Larissa Hatch, who's our program lead. She's not an attorney, but that is just an example of good life choices of hers, but she leads our youth IHL program. So without further ado, Shelby, I'll kick it back over to you, and I'll leave you all with the fact that if I was aware that this competition had been around when I was in law school, I would have foregone the moot court and mock trial opportunities that I had taken part in favor of this, knowing the benefit of hindsight now. This really is a unique competition. Life-changing gets thrown around, I think, cliched in a way, but we actively see year in, year out people's life paths sort of take a turn and a positive turn as a result of the experience of this competition. So without further ado, Shelby, take it away and enjoy, everyone.
Yeah, Thomas, I think I would have to agree with you. It does seem cliche to call it life-changing, but I know that, I'm the Clara Barton Fellow now, so I think life-changing is almost a great word. And I know we'll talk about the competition a little bit more here in a little bit, but I think it's too cliche when it comes to this. But yeah, welcome and thank you guys for coming. Like Thomas said, my name is Shelby. I am the Clara Barton Fellow this year. And I just want to let you guys know that you can ask questions in the chat. Myself, Ben, and Thomas will be monitoring those questions and answering them kind of as we go on, and we can address anything that comes up at the end as well. But talk a little bit about the mission for IHL dissemination, movement relations, and IHL advancement. So, one big reason we host this competition is the mission of the American Red Cross and the International Red Cross as well, where let me start with a little brief overview of what International Humanitarian Law, IHL, is. It's a set of rules which seek for humanitarian reasons to limit the effects of armed conflict, I think is the best way to describe it. And we have an obligation to spread knowledge of IHL, to set forth the rules and to disseminate that to the civilian population, to our military, and to educate our future legal professionals as well. So I think that it is an important role that this competition plays in our obligation, and also just advances the American Red Cross's mission as well. But I think moving into a little bit more specific of what we're going to be talking about tonight, what is Clara Barton Competition, CBC, as I'll probably be referring it to, our competition structure, the 2023 recap, and then what makes Clara Barton Competition unique, some key dates that we have coming up, some logistics, and then how to get involved. But first, what is Clara Barton? So for those of you whose institutions hasn't participated in the competition before, I think this is honestly one of the most unique parts of the competition is its simulation-based IHL competition. So it puts the competitors in the shoes of various IHL professionals. So the photo that you see here is from the final round last year, where we were speaking to a panel of judges talking about an indictment for Thomas, who was our witness and our client in that final round. So both the application and the competition rounds are built to mirror what it's like to operate as an IHL practitioner. And then the competition structure. So it's a two-part competition. We have the written portion, which we'll talk a little bit about the application, but that just opened up today. And then we have our in-person oral advocacy competition. So those who are accepted from the written portion will then come out to DC from March 22nd to the 24th and compete in our in-person competition. So the structure of the in-person is we'll have a welcome dinner on Friday evening. And then new this year, well, I guess we have four preliminary rounds. New this year, they're all happening on Saturday. And then new this year, we have our quarterfinal round. So historically, this competition has broken into semifinals, so just four teams break. And this year, we decided to double that, and we'll be breaking 8 teams into a quarterfinal. That will happen Sunday morning, which I'm very excited to break to quarterfinals. And then we have semifinals, and then the final round. And then we do banquets and awards, various awards that we give out for best application, top speaker, and a few other ones. And then we just have a nice dinner to wrap up the competition and thank everyone for coming out. But a little bit about the applications. So the application materials are built to resemble how you gather and receive information in the real world. And then for team size first, you can do 2 to 3 individuals on a team, 2 to 3 law students, or from a military academy, 2 to 3 students can make up a team. And those are the 3 or 2 individuals who do the application. And then the materials and prompt we already have on our website. So we have the website linked at the end, and we're going to come across a few QR codes here in a second. But the application is on the homepage of our website. It's clarabartoncompetition.org. And then if not, you can just scan the QR code. So super easy. And then the format of the application outside of those materials that we have built in to resemble real world materials. So examples we'll see are like news articles, government documents, social media, and just other open source information, really. And then you'll come across prompts, and the prompts will also mirror real world simulated presentations. And it just requires the competitors to assume a specific role in the application, and then they tailor their legal analysis based off the role that's assigned to them. And the great news for today's presentation is the application launched very early this morning. I am super excited for its launch. I cannot wait for you all to read it. We have spent a long time this summer crafting a brand new world this year for Clara Barton, and I know we're going to walk through some of the pages, but another big thing to know is its deadline is November 17th. And I think another thing that's special about the application launching today is we're launching it a month earlier than we did last year. So competitors will have a whole nother month to work on this. We're all busy law students, so I think that month will definitely help them have the time to put forth the effort in the application and make it a little bit less stressful for the competitors as well. But the 2023-2024 application, so you can scan that QR code on the right of the PowerPoint slide, and that will take you straight to the application that's on our website. And then I've just put some documents on here that we have in the current application. So some code from one of our countries, Guile lands, that is involved. And this is what an example of what the news article would look like. So competitors can use these documents and coming into their legal analysis, but you kind of get a more better sense of these do look like real documents that any IHL or just legal professional would be using when coming to their analysis. So I do think that's something that's special about Clara Barton, that it's so realistic that you're put into this hypothetical world. And then here are some other pages of the application, and these are where our prompts are for the competitors. So you can kind of see at the end of each prompt, which we have 2 in this year's application, the competitors are asked a series of questions that they then use in their analysis when writing their application. So those are some of the documents that we have this year that we can now share since the application is live. And I'm gonna move forward from there. But the in-person competition. So moving past the application phase, which happens this fall, we have our in-person competition. And that is at our American Red Cross headquarters in DC, a very special location that Ben's going to talk about here a little bit later. And like I mentioned earlier, we're going to have 7 rounds this year, and they're all going to be modeled on real world events. So essentially, the competition will keep evolving as essentially one big storyline of a conflict. And then each round, it will be where they get a new set of facts and they get 60 minutes to prepare per round. So we'll be releasing the first round's problem, I believe, on Monday before the competition to give the competitors a little bit more time to familiarize themselves with the materials that they will be getting. And then for the other 3 preliminary rounds and all of the breakout rounds, they'll get roughly 60 minutes to receive the materials, read it, and formulate their moot court analysis for it. So I think that's something that's really exciting. That's different from this competition that you would see in other moot court mock trial competitions. But some of the round examples that I want to highlight that we personally did last year was a UN committee hearing. We did a detention center visit, which was one of my favorite rounds, where we were the ICRC. We did a cable news interview. And then I believe we also did like a military operational briefing as well for one of the rounds. But yeah, the preliminary rounds, they're single team, dual team, multilateral team. It changes as the rounds progress. And then all of the breakout rounds will be a dual team knockout style that you would see in any other moot court or mock trial competition. And then, yeah, that preparation session that I already mentioned, it's usually about 60 minutes. And then as the teams advance, it gets a little bit longer in the semifinals and the final round. I think we got 90 minutes for the final round last year. Yeah, our recap for last year. So these are the teams, our military academies that competed last year. I was a part of the Texas Tech team, so go Red Raiders, and Ben was on our American team. And then you can see that we also have the military academies who partake, the Air Force, the Navy, West Point, and then we have teams from other countries as well. You'll see that Montreal is on there, as well as UFRGS, who is from South America, who came in to partake as well. So it truly is such a diverse field of competitors. And I think that's something that's also really special about this competition, that it's open to military academies as well as schools from other countries. But here I just put some pictures, and I just wanted to spend just a minute or two sharing my personal experience with the competition. I truly do love this competition. I've been to a few moot court mock trial competitions during my law school time, as I'm still here as well. I'll be going to a few more, but I really don't think that I've been judged by more experienced professionals, where when I was getting feedback, I was getting such knowledge and receiving feedback from people who do this on a daily basis. No judge was ever in a position where they told our team, hey, I don't do this, but let me score you anyways. No, I think that's one thing that I'll always talk about so highly of Clara Barton, is they bring in such distinguished professionals to come judge the students who partake. And I think that's something that a lot of moot court and mock trial competitions often lack, and they overlook the importance of having such important professionals. And it's fun to go into those simulated real life experiences. It kind of puts you on your feet. I know for the ICRC round, we had a detainee, the lights were off when we walked in, and he's just like crying in the corner, and it's serious, and you have to take it seriously, and it's difficult. We brought food, we brought Kleenexes, and on top of that, you're still mooting around. So I think that it's something that you won't get anywhere else, and it truly tests your ability to think on your feet, to truly moot a problem that you just got 60 minutes before. I think it's something very cool that you don't get in any other moot court or mock trial experience. And I could talk about it for ages, but I will limit myself of how long I could talk about this competition. But I think there's no better way to state it than some of our competitors' testimonials, either from last year, previous years, who have done the competition and went so far as to give us a testimonial that we can share with you all today. So I think with that, that's kind of all that I have to share with my experience with the competition. I'll hand it over to Ben if he has anything to share about the competition. If not, I know he has a lot on his agenda to talk about tonight.
Thanks so much, Shelby. As she somewhat mentioned, my name is Ben. I had the pleasure to compete never against Shelby, but alongside Shelby in this past year of the Clara Barton competition. And I second much of what she says and more. It is a phenomenal competition where you get to take the law out of the books, which is very important for something like international humanitarian law, which, unlike criminal law or contracts law or some of these other formats that often have competitions, this is not something often done in a courtroom or in a conference room. This is done in the field, in a tent, in places of armed conflict where these decisions need to be made and have a gravity to them that cannot be understated. And I have more to share, but there's slides that go with them. If we could move along. Oh. There are past materials available. Excuse me, this is not one of my slides. And at this QR code, and they're also available on our website, which will be accessible, or is accessible now and will be accessible after this presentation. All right, here we go. So what makes the Clara Barton competition unique? We are an international competition. We accept competitors from North, South, and Central America, including competitors in recent years from Canada, Brazil, Argentina, the United States, and beyond. We are the only simulation-based international humanitarian law competition in North America and one of the only of its kind in the world. Now, no one is allowed to compete in this competition more than once. So even if you are new to IHL or a stranger to IHL, that is fine. That is encouraged even. And you will have plenty of time through putting together your application materials and preparing for the competitions to become a fully fledged fledgling practitioner in international humanitarian law. We have, as Shelby somewhat mentioned, an incredibly diverse array of judges. They come from a wide array of professional backgrounds, offering competitors very challenging and realistic simulations in all of their rounds. They've come from the military, they've come from academia, private law, international tribunals, international NGOs, and more. The international humanitarian law field is one of the closer knit fields within the already small legal profession. And these people give up their time happily and passionately to come be a part of this competition. And that really shows in the care and effort they put into the rounds and into the feedback they give you after the rounds and how they connect with you with networking opportunities. Networking is intentionally designed to be a part of the competition. You'll have the opportunity to hear from judges on a career panel, at a happy hour, at the meals, if you take that time and more, to hear about their experiences, their opinions, their positions, what they do, what they're going to do, and anything and everything beyond that you could hope or want to ask. Unlike other competitions, the judges are not sequestered away from the competitors. They're alongside you in the National Headquarters Hall of Service for every meal, every announcement. They are present and they want to connect with you, which is a phenomenal part of the competition. Moving right along, please. Now, this is something I'm very excited about as a legal intern broadly with the IHL team. I got to work in this beautiful historic venue this past summer, technically in a basement, but occasionally I'd go up to a conference room with windows, and that was just, you know, the highlight of my day. It's an absolutely beautiful building. It is a living museum. There are Red Cross historical artifacts all throughout, and you get to compete and prepare in these rooms that contain artifacts or where important humanitarian deals were made or discussed or developed. And it's a very cool and beautiful context to have the competition in. And then Some key dates. I know we've discussed some of these already, but the application went live at midnight. Woo, off to the races. The application is due November 17th. As Shelby mentioned, there is an additional month this year to prepare for the competition, but it is important to note that the application length and the requirements in terms of the word counts for the prompts have not changed. So it is more time, the same amount of work to enable everyone to have as much time as they need to submit their applications. The application is due November 17th, and then teams will be notified of their selection by December 31st, and then must confirm their attendance or not if accepted by January 20th. The participation fee would then be due by March 3rd, and then the competition dates are from March 22nd to March 24th, which is a weekend. Some logistics, lodging. The Clara Barton competition will not be providing lodging as part of the participation fee. However, if there is a hardship or a financial need, you can submit a hardship waiver alongside your competition for the participation fee or the lodging or both if the need arises, and that will be evaluated by the Clara Barton committee. We'll be providing 4 meals over the course of the 3-day competition. There is no application fee for just submitting an application. There is only the participant fee for those who have been accepted, and that, as I mentioned, can be waived as well. Teams, more than one team from any academic institution can apply, but only one team from an institution will be accepted. So if there's more than one team, you are more welcome to apply, but know that you both cannot be recommended. And that is might be the end of my section, but here's the website again, which of course is available, and you can contact the Clara Barton team with this email or email Shelby directly here, and she will answer any questions that you may have. And just again, cannot endorse this competition highly enough. It's I knew that I had a passion for IHL before I became involved in the competition, and the springboard it gave me in terms of practical experience, connections in the field, and just overall passion for the field cannot be understated. And it's made a real impact on my life, both personally, professionally, in terms of the connections I've made, the skills I developed, and the enjoyment I have working in this field of law. And thank you for listening. Back to you, Shelby.
Perfect. Thank you, Ben. And yeah, I just want to just state again that the application is on our website right here. I may click this link and show you guys how to find it. It is just on our homepage right here. And you can download the application packet. You can register for any more of our sessions. If you just loved it so much, you want to come back on the 13th, we'd love to have you. And then you can also see the 2023 competition recap. And this is where you can find the materials. So everything is readily accessible and available to look at anywhere from last year's application all the way to what we competed in the final rounds with, to kind of get a feel for what the competition is like. So you can just head to our website. Everything's right there. And as Ben said, we are available via email for any questions that you guys may have from now until whenever you may need before the application closes. It's due November 17th at 11:59 Eastern Standard Time. And that's listed in big old font on the application, so you most definitely cannot miss it. I don't know if there's any questions that I may have missed. Thomas, I'll kind of hand it to you for any closing remarks here.
Sure. We do have a question, which we'll get to in just a second, a great one from Katrina. I do want to say that there is no competitive advantage to turning in your application early. You're free to do so, but we're not grading these on a rolling basis. All the applications are blind graded by a committee, so we have no idea the individuals involved or what institution they're from. And that grading doesn't start until we receive all applications after the close date. So it's up to your team when you turn it in, but just know that you're not going to be disadvantaged by waiting to the deadline or advantaged somehow by turning it in early. Katrina asked whether there's a limit on how many teams can apply per school.
Yeah, so there is no limit on how many teams can apply per school. However, only one team may be accepted. So that is something to note. You can have as many teams apply, but we may only accept one team from each one. If a team from your school gets accepted, we'll only take one.
Great question. There was a mention that Ben had about the meals. I put that a note in the chat, but we'll have a welcome dinner on Friday. Typically, folks will arrive, logistically, if you're flying or driving in, sometime in the morning or midday. We'll have an orientation late in the afternoon, 3 or 4 p.m. You'll get details about that, and then we'll have a welcome dinner on Saturday. And Sunday we'll have light breakfast items, just bagels, that sort of thing. Nothing that's no buffet or omelet bar. We will have a catered lunch both Saturday and Sunday, and then Sunday evening we have a catered banquet for the awards ceremony. And Saturday night teams are cut free as far as dinner goes to enjoy the sights of DC and pick wherever they'd like to eat. Let's see. Got another question. Do citations count toward the word count?
So they do not count towards the word count. And I believe that's listed in the application as well. That if you put them as a footnote or just in the document itself, whatever style the team ends up choosing, you do not have to count those towards your word count. So that's more words to write, whether that's a great or a negative thing.
Excellent question. Well, thank you all for coming out. We hope that each of you applies. It really is a truly meaningful experience. I think you heard the passion in Shelby and Ben's voices as they talked about the competition. Both of them are incredibly busy. They have a lot of opportunities on their plate as 3Ls, and that's certainly the case as with many folks that are in their last year of law school. They could be doing a lot of other things, but they have thrown themselves into this competition, and I think that has nothing to do with our full-time team. It has to do with the experience that the competition is. So they're sort of proof positive of why the competition matters. And you don't need me telling you why IHL matters in this day and age. It's probably one of the most impactful aspects of international law and perhaps the practice of law generally, so long as armed conflicts exist and erupt. Let's see here. There's a question, a very good question that we've gotten before as well, about whether you can mix teams from different institutions. I'll take that one. If you have a proposed team that's comprised of different institutions, I would ask that you email the CBC team. So if you see that Clara Barton IHL email address, the competition committee will take that under consideration. We haven't had that in the past. It's uncommon, but it's not outside the bounds of the rules. But we would want to consider that. So provide us with the names and the institutions of the team members, and that'll help us make an informed decision. We understand there are all sorts of logistical and other factors that go into team makeup. So just let us know by email and we'll get you a quick answer. Great question.
I suppose I'll also add that a lot of these application-based questions, you don't have to come back and watch this video to get the answers unless you want to. But the formatting and team composition rules are all laid out in the front half of the application packet for you to have on reference.
I'll leave you with this last remark. Please help spread the word about the competition. This is about disseminating IHL. It certainly is a competition. There are winners, there's hardware, all that typical stuff. But this really is a community-based collegial experience. And I think that's why folks get so motivated and impassioned by it, because it is a group of young, seasoned, and old professionals all coming together around the proverbial campfire that is IHL, and either learning or experiencing and passing down knowledge about this really important area of law. So do not let any type of inexperience or lack of familiarity dissuade you from joining or throwing in your hat with the application. I'll highlight Cardozo School of Law as a great example. That was a team, the 3 team members from 2023 had no experience, no classwork in IHL. Cardozo is a fantastic institution, but it doesn't have an IHL clinic. That's just not a traditional focus area at the institution. They self-taught themselves based on the materials and their own research and whatnot. And they ended up winning the Best Application Award for 2023. And it just goes to show you that the competition is designed so that folks from all walks of law school life and cadets and midshipmen can have sort of an equal, accessible opportunity. Doesn't mean you won't get complex questions or have to tackle very difficult and evolving situations, but you don't need to be an IHL brainiac or have a bunch of IHL coursework under your belt in order to do really, really well at this competition. Shelby, that's all I have. We'll pass out the link to the recording once it's up. We will do that after next week's last informational session, which is on the 13th. I would just leave you with the request that if you know folks that might be interested, if you have friends at other law schools or academies, etc., let them know. Let them know about the competition. Let them know about that September 13th information session. If it's down the road a little bit, let them know about the recording so that they can watch it and consider applying. Word of mouth is one of the most powerful drivers for folks to find out about this competition. So thanks to everyone. Shelby, that's all I have. Thanks, and great job, Shelby and Ben, as always. Take care, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.